Alright, let's go. See here, we just have to get this thing spread out a little bit. So I'm gonna share it with some friends. Let's see here. Alright. Okay. Arma platform, okay. So we're gonna start shortly as soon as I get this one out of there. Alright. Okay, I think that's good. We are live. Everything seems to be in order. Alright, let's see here. Great. See if everything got out fine. Yeah, that's working fine. Alright. See, that would be as good of a place as any to begin. So yeah. You can just start with something simple. You can have an American soldier. Hello guys. So we should start with creating a new scene. Let's just call this screenshot for now. And we'll start with that, as I think a lot more people are interested in the screenshot aspect of it. So add a camera, add an animation track. I'm gonna give the character a name. Hey Elliot. So let's give him a name. Let's call him just actor. Okay. Actor has been born. And then we're gonna add an animation track for actor. It has to be the same as the entity name. Then we're gonna put in a play. We're gonna preview. Jesus, it's in 3. It should be 16 by 9. Okay. Does that fuck with the... Yeah, it actually does. That's... You only see the game? Okay. Yeah. Let's see here. Well, if I just do like this, should help. Okay. Gonna do screen 1. Okay. That should be better. And we're gonna put it, now it should work, 16 by 9. Yeah, that That's working fine. Tell me if it's not working. So, all right, let's just start with something simple. We're gonna make a screenshot in Reforger. All right. So we have an actor. His name is Bob. We have an actor track, animation track. We have a camera track. Inside of the camera, we can manipulate the thing. So we can just activate, for instance, a field of view. That's how we change this. So we have a bigger field of view. And this is where we can enable the depth of field slider. I like to do something like 500 to 1000. And we can switch the focus distance ourselves, like that. Okay. We don't need to mess with the HDR just yet. What I want to do, I want to give this guy an animation, right? For the screenshot. So this prefab that I made only has the base slot component, identity component, and base loadout manager, and etc. So we could start with the weapon. We can just choose to have the M16 for now. We don't need to change that. Identity is fine. This is where I change the face and the body if I want to. And furthermore, yeah, there's only two. It's the base body, an Asian preset, and a black preset. That's it. Base loadout manager, this is where I can customize all of the headgear. So if I want to give him a hat, I just give him a hat, and so on. So for this one, I think it's let's give him a helmet. So let's give him a scrim. Yeah, that's okay. And he has a rolled up jacket. He has the loadout I prefer. Alright, and this is where the animation comes into play. So I have an animation player component, and I'm gonna choose an animation from my own project. I'm gonna go into, actually let's do it another way, an easier way. Let's go into research resource browser. In the main folder for Armory Reforger, I just press A&M. That will give me all of the animations. So for instance, I have a lot of different animations here. So editor poses, let's try those. These are all in the game if you want to use them. So let's do rifleman. Okay, I'm gonna drag that into there, and as soon as I do that, he goes into the pose, right? I can try sniper, and I reset, and there you go. He changes the pose, right? And that's basically all we need to make a screenshot. So from here, I wanna do a little bit of working with the angles. So let's do something like that. Figure out where the sun sets. So up here you have the weather editor panel. So let's play around with that. Let's see, we can change the time. This is more in line with what you're used to from the Eden editor, right? Let's disable the camera mode. So there's the sun. I want to make it a little bit more cinematic, right? So have the sun peek over just a little bit. Okay. I think I can go into this now, but there's more settings here. We can play around with the master cycle. If you go into the edit, in the parameters, you can find, for instance, fog, and we can screw around with fog distance scale. So let's see here. So I wanna play around with this. Let's see. Fog start. See if we can bring up the values. Height density. So I know this quarry is pretty high up. So just to give the place a little bit more of an ambient feeling. Oh, that's a little bit too much. So let's go like that maybe, and we'll switch it back to here to just give it a little bit extra punch. Alright, and then there's another thing. Good afternoon, Buckfast. Another thing we can do, see if I remember. So this, yeah, I'll change it to render assist settings. So we want to bring out the wetness in the tracks, but we want to, for instance, we don't want it to be too much. So I'll deflood the puddles a little bit. You guys see that, the difference? So we'll bring it down a little bit and we'll unflood the cracks, because it can become a little too much. So you see the difference between 1 and 0 there. So that looks a little bit better. So we can do like, we can go into the camera, get some lens flare going. And that's like the most basic way of going about it. So let's say we want to make it more dynamic. You want to have a totally different ambience. You can set it to night. So what we can do is add, let's start that thing. We'll add a vehicle, for instance, or even better, we'll make it even simpler. Let's create a light. So I'll choose a light entity. I'll drag that into the scene. Alright, like that. And then I can drag this up. Oh, I need to go out of the camera view. Okay, so here we have a light entity. And that does exactly what you think it does. So we're gonna change the value of the light property to visualization to disabled, and we're gonna make it dark like this, and we're gonna play around with lighting. Okay, so first off, we're gonna turn up the LV. We are gonna change the radius, and we're gonna turn off the lens flare. So we don't need all of that lens flare. So let's do a big radius like this. We'll turn down the LV a little bit. So, and let's change colors. Okay, we can make it red, and or we can make it something completely different. Let's switch over to the blue to make like a fake moonlight kind of thing. Alright, so from here, all I need to do is switch around a little bit. So I want the light casting on the guy from this side. You see that? Makes a lot of difference. Another thing you can do, if you want to make another light, just hold Alt and drag out. And all you have to do now is replace the other light. That way you have more than one light source. So say you want a top light, you can drag that up above, and we can change the values for this one as well. So now we have a top light that shines on the guy. So we can change all these settings. So let's make that a little bit more into the white. Okay. We'll change the LV a little bit here so it's not too bright, and we'll blast up the radius for this one and this one, so it looks like it's you see the difference. So if you want to fake moonlight, for instance, this is a good way of doing it. You see it casts shadows, right? So you can disable shadow casting here if you want a smooth light over the entire thing, or else you're gonna have shadow casting from the direction. So if you want to make a really like visually accurate lighting, make sure you check the shadow casting and that you have your light sources in the same spots. Don't worry about this this thing. This is just one of the presets in Eden where you can put down stuff, so it's not something that's going to affect inside the camera itself. So let's play around with HDR now that we have a light source. I'll manually expose. Oh, come on, there we go. And now I can manually expose the lens like in a real photography setting. Okay. It's actually funny that it casts a shadow on this object because it doesn't really show when I render it. And if you want to render out the scene, there's a few ways of doing that. You pretty much just hit export, but you see now we have 0 and 350. So let's say I just want 10 frames. It's gonna export 10 photos to my hard drive. So you see that it's gonna bump down. So let's get like a little bit better angle on this guy and make a screenshot like that. So do a little top up like that. A really basic screenshot for now, guys. We can add more complexity to it later. So this is just the basic way of getting started with the Enfusion workbench. We're gonna get to moving stuff soon. So say like that, and from here we can make all sorts of complexity, right? If we start here, we can add for instance a what's it called, particle. Yeah, let's add a particle emitter. So I'm gonna put down a random particle emitter, and we're gonna choose an effect path. I've made a few emitters already. So this one, for instance, is something called ground smoke. See, it's gonna start emitting fog, and we can play that on spawn. Don't delete on finish. I'm gonna put it up there, and that should then spawn fog around the guy. It just helps to bring out a little bit more ambience in the shot itself, you see. Alright, so we have the depth of field. We're in the camera. See, focus distance seems alright. Yeah, maybe the light is a little bit too much, so we'll tone that down. You see, Armory Reforger still has a few kinks and issues, like when he aims his gun, there's a little bit of clipping, but doesn't matter too much. I don't care too much. So here we have a scene that I'm okay with. It's super simple. I want to export this. On this cogwheel you have your export settings. So this is everything you need also to make a cinematic. So if you want to do something quick that you can just put on the internet quickly, just choose 8-bit. If you want to do color correction, like you want to manipulate your photos a little bit more in Photoshop, choose 16-bit. It's going to give you a lot more color range to play with. And if you export the image in 4K, it's going to, of course, come out in 4K. So for this, I don't need full 4K, I just need full HD, which I think is 1920 by 1080 in this case. So I'll just export that to whatever I want. So let's just put it in images, Reforger, cinematic scene. I'll make a little folder for it because it's going to be 10 shots. So test shots, okay. Choose that. It's gonna go into preview mode and it's gonna render out all of the shots itself. So when it goes into preview, we're not gonna see anything. We're just gonna have a we're actually just gonna have a small crash. And another thing I can show you guys. Let's go back in. Hello, DePaulo. Hey, Buckfast. The tools are so great, but my comp's been playing up, so I've not spent much time creating. Got it back and working, so it's AR creation time later. Okay. The good thing about what just happened, you all guys noticed, but I still got the test shots rendered out. The only problem I had was that I forgot to turn off a setting. I'll show you guys that just in a second. So I have another scene here that I have prepared from earlier. If you guys follow me on Twitter, this is the scene in which I posted. The animation just is something else. Alright, let's see here. So let's choose something that's not a player thing. Let's just choose the one we had earlier. So something like that. I'll go back into 16 by 9. The thing that happened earlier is that when I started to render my scene, I had play from camera position enabled, and that basically starts the game mode and puts a playable character in front. So he's gonna stand in front of wherever you spawn your camera, which is really annoying. So one of the things I've been trying to push to the devs is that you have more options for how you start and play the game. So you don't have the default character spawning in. So if I go in here, I think HDR is on. I'm gonna turn that off. We're gonna do something a little bit more interesting. It's gonna be super basic. For you, the guys of you who are here, you wanna see the screenshot thing one more time, or do you want to go into moving pictures and the cinematic stuff, because that's gonna be more scripting than anything. I'm up for both, so we can start from scratch, make a new scene, cinematic live stream, let's say that. Oh, I can't have a space between, let's just do like this. No? Oh, I can have that, I can do this, I can, yeah. We'll add a camera track, here we go. We'll add a scripts event track. We'll add an animation, let's call it actor, because we already have actor here. Alright. So one of the things you guys saw in the movie thing was like a beach landing. So I thought we could do one of those beach landings now. If you don't remember, check out Battle of Everon, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It has a few things going for it in that sequence, and I'll show you more or less how I went about doing it. It's gonna be a little bit bare bones for this, because the entire thing took me almost 100 hours to make, the entire thing. So we're gonna do really not too many actors on this one, but it's the same principle. So we're gonna put the guy down. Let's say I want him to move, so I have inside of my projects, I think it's here, Armory, Reforger, scripts. Yeah, I have scripts here that I got off one of the tutorials that dropped. Stole them from Vladimir, basically. But say I want to add movement to this character. I want it to start with him running, or anything else, really. I'll add a script event in the scene, and yeah, that's basically all I need. So this guy, instead of actor, because we don't actually need for this, we don't actually need animation player, so I'll remove that. Is Armory Reforger worth it? It depends on what you're gonna do with it. If you're just gonna play conflicts and multiplayer, sure. If you're a big Arma fan and you love the Arma series, go for it. If you're gonna make mods, yes, you should get Reforger, because you get the tools, the workbench. The workbench alone is something that's worth getting, because this is gonna come out together with Arma 4 as well. So if you want to get a head start on doing stuff in Arma 4, you should purchase Reforger and get into the workbench. It's just how I view it. So anyway, in the script event, name it scene event or something. Eventer. Nice. Let's see. In the cinematic live stream scene, we can add a script. So here we have a keyframe that has been created. And that's this keyframe. So on this keyframe, I can have certain scripts run. So for instance, I have a let's see, let's do something just to show it. Let's have the character ragdoll randomly, okay? So he is called man 1, and in the script we're gonna call for man 1 to ragdoll. Okay. Yeah, I just validated that the script is fine. That's good. Nothing much more to do there. We'll check that the camera. If I would say if Armory is better, you'll have a much larger experience with Armory today, but that's because the thing has been out for 12 years. There's not a thing that you can't do in Armory right now, because it's been out for so long and there's so many options for you. If you don't own any Arma game, get Armory. That's my 2 cents. Alright, let's just set the camera here. We're just gonna have the guy ragdoll, nothing special. See if the thing preview is fine. So we're not gonna do anything special, we're just gonna demonstrate the script itself. See if I remember how. Okay. God, I love scripting. But this thing, compared to like the Eden editor, is quite 2 different things. 2 very different things actually. So here you have, okay. You have 7,500 hours of Armory. That's, I'm gonna give it to you, that's impressive. What we can do, well, I have you here if you're interested in camera movements. What's up? Okay. Let's see. Do something like this. Now we have a camera track, you see that? Yeah, so that's just a cubic camera positioning. So I have the camera track here. And I set the keyframe for where I want it to go. So at that second I want it to be there. But say I want the camera to look different halfway between. I'll just fix that, put down another keyframe, and the guy is going to be center for the entire shot. Okay. And back to this guy. So we're not going to script that man. So we have on the first keyframe, man1 generic entity. I think I know why. It's because I put down a character that doesn't have the animations, right? So let's get rid of man1. Let's say that this is man1. Okay, this guy is man1 now, and he's gonna do the animation thing. I think that was what was doing it. So this is the basic character with all of the presets that come with the game. All right. So if I go, let's just remove these keyframes for now. I don't actually need them. So we just want to watch this guy ragdoll. That's what the script tells him to do. So let's see that we don't get a virtual machine warning. Yeah, man ragdolling. Okay, this might it might seem a little bit insignificant, but that's the basics of it, and it's important to know. Armory will never grow old for me. I've got 15,000 hours in 2 accounts. The future does look good for the Arma series. Yeah. Armory is still my favorite. Yeah. I can't say against that. I love Arma. So let's see. We want to preview inside the viewport. It should. Oh yeah. If you reverse the FOV, you go upside down. What about that? I don't know why it does that, but okay. Maybe there's meaning behind it. So let's just preview that again. If you're gonna make cinematics for Arma, there's gonna be a lot of previewing. I'm just gonna tell you that. Other than that, how is everyone's evening doing? Ragdolling is funny. Alright. After all of the frames are played out, it goes back to editing mode anyway. So now from here we build. You start with your main character. Okay, so I'm gonna talk you through my process now. And we're gonna add complexity to the scene as we go along. Alright. Let's get started. So I want him to move. So I'm gonna go into the script. I'm gonna change this. And this is the script for basic movement, okay? If you want all of these scripts, I'll remember to put them in the description later, or I'll release it some other way. But basically it says generic entity, that's the man, equals that we're gonna cast. We're gonna find man 1. We're gonna do the character control component, find component character controller. We're gonna set the vector and direction, so he's gonna travel a set direction, and we're gonna set movement. That this is the speed, and direction is already determined by the vector. So sounds complicated, isn't really, but there's gonna be a lot of keyframes. So the only thing you need to remember is that if you have the basic scripts for the functions, you can just put them in the keyframes. So that is what makes Armory Reforger cinematic making so more efficient than Armory 3, because Armory 3 doesn't work like this. It works quite different. So now we told the character to start running. Okay, so it's gonna look different. So we're gonna test to see if he does what we want him to do, which is start off running, which will be the basis of the scene. So let's say we want to make a scene where, like I did in my video, he is running up the beach. That's what we want. Okay, he was doing a little jogging pace. Maybe you want him to full sprint and then lay down, like we did in the Battle of Averon. Let's do that. Let's give him a full sprint and then a stance change. Okay. So we are gonna, after a few frames, add another keyframe to man 1. Okay. We're gonna go into here. You see, since we added a new keyframe, it pops up here. So I'm gonna find my change stance. So I have all of the stance changes here. So I want to set a stance. He's already in standing position. So I want to set him to not crouch, but to prone. So that's gonna make him lay down on that keyframe. Okay. So man 1, we're just gonna change all this because it's stock stuff. It's not too much work. So at this keyframe, he's gonna go to prone. Make sure that I don't have any errors before I preview it, and it seems like we're okay. Let's go into here. All right. So we're gonna try and keep up with the guy. So at this point, say it's about here. Say it's about here. Okay. Sure he is. It's a little bit quick. Let's just do like this. Like this. Okay. And since the script still says that he's moving forward, he's still gonna do that. He's not gonna stop while he goes prone. He's gonna continue forward, which is a great thing. We actually have to script him to stop if we want him to stop and fire his gun, for instance. So let's just preview, and at exactly that keyframe, he's gonna lay down and he's gonna keep crawling. So that's the basis of it, and that's all we need for like a main character in one scene. So remember guys, this is just one scene in a, you can make your own movie, but one scene. So it's gonna be a beach landing thing. So we're gonna, as I said, start off with one character that we're gonna follow. So we can start here, for instance. Wanna start with your main character and how far you want it to go. So say I want this to go on for 10 seconds. Okay, 10 seconds. How many frames is that? That's 600 frames. Okay, 600. Okay. So let's just see where this guy ends up after 600 frames. So I'm sure he's gonna be up here. Something like that. And since I've already recorded the camera path, it's gonna play out the path. One thing I have to keep note of is the distance here. So all of this is just figuring out and predicting the path of this guy, right? So let's just preview and see what happens. I think it's running too slow, but we'll just see what happens. Because you don't want the camera to pull away from him. So this is the cinematography part of making a cinematic. So, okay, I'm gonna lose him in the beginning, and he's gonna be too slow, and the camera's gonna pull away from him. Okay, but now I have an idea of where he is, exactly where he is at the 800 frame. So I can pull my camera to that position. Alright, so I'm gonna go back to this frame. I remember him being about here. And I remember him pulling away in the beginning. So I'm gonna switch the camera a little bit so he doesn't pull away from us. And the camera is gonna rotate into the position that I need him to be in. So let's just preview that camera path now. See how it works out. Still a little bit slow, but we're gonna catch up to the guy here. Okay. We're gonna need to be a little bit more to the right, okay? So what we're doing now, we're building the foundation of the shot itself. We're gonna add effects, we're gonna add everything else later, okay? We're gonna start with the basic camera path, which is the most important. It's what makes the cinematography stand out a little. So let's nail that first. See, at the final shot, we need to be here. We're gonna pull in a little bit closer. We're still losing him a bit in the beginning. So I'm gonna pull it down there. At this point, I'm gonna do like this. I think everything else was sort of fine. I'm gonna maybe pull up a little bit so we keep a certain level above the ground. Okay. So once we nail the camera path for these 10 seconds, or the 10 seconds is the entire scene. Once we nail the camera paths, we're gonna start building the background. We're gonna start building everything else. Okay. Okay, we're getting there. I think that's nice. We got something to work with here. That is nice. Let's see. We're back in editing. Remember, going a little bit slow. We had him about here. Okay. So let's figure out how we want these settings to be. Weather settings. We can do something like this. Yeah, I think that's fine. We're gonna have it clear weather. See if it's cloudy. Get more of the golden. See how the shadows go. I'm gonna do the. Yeah, let's just do the golden light. I think that looks good. Okay. And we're gonna turn on the render settings again. So we're not gonna flood the puddles too much. Bring it back down. Something like that. And bring this down. Alright. That doesn't matter too much. Okay. So this is how the camera is gonna pan. Okay. This gives me an idea of everything. So sure, let's start with adding effects. We're gonna make a new script track. We're gonna call it bullet hits. Okay, and we're gonna make a track called explosions. And we're gonna make a track called man 2. So we're gonna have one more actor, and we're gonna move him up. This only makes it so that the the sequence of the script goes like this. It's just not gonna affect how it starts the script. It's just where it is in the document. So okay, let's start with the bullet hits. So I'm just gonna follow the camera. So let's say at this point I want a bullet hit, and here, and here, and here. Okay, I want 4 bullet hits. That's fine. I'm gonna create a particle emitter. I'm gonna place that down. And for the effect path, we're gonna put down particles. We're gonna have weapon. Let's see, environment hit. Let's do hit stone, hit dirt. No, it's too brown, I guess. Let's do sand. This is sand. Okay, that's good enough. So on this point, exactly on this keyframe, just pull it a little bit closer so it's more like in your face. Exactly at this point, we're gonna have bullet hit 1. Okay, that's bullet hit 1. We are gonna duplicate it. So now we have it automatically renames it to bullet hit 2, which is a great thing. I don't have to go and name everything when I copy it. I'm gonna move to the next keyframe. I'm gonna place this thing here, so it's also a little bit in the face. We're gonna copy this one. It's gonna generate bullet hit 3. We're gonna move this to this keyframe, put it in the puddle. Maybe we'll change the effect to, I guess we have, do we have water? Yeah, we have water. See that? Perfect. One important thing I forgot to mention is that we don't want the effect to play on spawn. Yes, these are great tools, I agree. So we take everything and remove the play on spawn, because that's gonna mess up the scripts, right? We have 3 of them, so that's the third. And on the final one, we're gonna move this one. Let's change this one as well. Let's have stone. Yeah, it's a bigger one. A little bit unrealistic maybe, but it's for cinematic effect, right? Okay, so now we have all of the bullet hits. Let's go into the cinematic live stream scene. We'll go into the script, and here you can see all the bullet hits. The keyframes are open. So I have a script called scripted visual effects. I'm gonna copy this code here. I'm gonna paste it in here. Pretty simple. It's just gonna call the particle emitter by name. So this one is gonna be bullet hit 1. We're gonna it's 2 L's in bullet hit. And stuff like effects you can keep on the same track, right? You don't have to create a single script event track for each bullet hit. You can have them all on one. So that's the first one. We're gonna call bullet hit 1. For the second one, we're gonna do the same. We're just gonna call bullet hit 2. This is the second keyframe. We're gonna do the same on third. I hope you guys are learning anything. It's great to have you guys here checking this out, and thanks you guys for supporting this. It's always fun to teach you guys the tools. This should be correct. Bulleted 1, 2, 3, and 4. I should have written that correctly. No, I didn't write it correctly. Bullet hit 1. I wrote it wrong. So let's go into here. That's the name of the entity. Oh no. I'm stupid. It should just be name. Shouldn't it? I don't have to actually change that. I believe that is what was causing it. Yes, that was what was causing it. Okay, so just particle emitter name equals bulleted 3, and it's gonna call it to play. Learning lots. Yeah, thanks for the stream. There will be, guys, a more refined tutorial down the line, but as for now, we're just gonna hang out and have some fun while I do this, and you guys gonna pick up a few things and maybe make your own stuff, which I look forward to. Make sure to credit me in it. Let's see if the bullet hits works like they should. So if I'm gonna save this, remember to save, guys. We are gonna preview, see what happens. Hopefully it's fine. Hopefully it's fine. Well, so he's gonna run. Yeah, you can see the bullet hits going off now. Beautiful. Exactly what we want. You can go crazy and add as many bullet hits as you want. What I found to be most effective is like stacking 2 or 3 after each other really quickly to like give the effect of like a machine gun or something like that. We're not gonna go into the prefabs of the bullet hits because you can change how each one of these look. Now if I go into the particle emitter itself, I can double tap now. Let's just not do it. It's gonna be too much work. Yeah, let's not go into that. But you can change every emitter to fit your needs. That includes all the flames and every effect out there. Now let's go into explosions, which is always nice. So let's see, I want to add an explosion right here, like in the mid part. We're gonna put down another emitter. Gonna have it a little bit in the background. I have a Mortar Explosion preset that I made myself. That looks like this. Let's get a little distance from it so you can see it better. It has this little, yeah, little effect where it has like a mushroom cloud. What I'm happy with. Let's move it further back to give it a little bit more down a little bit. Like this. Yeah. And we're gonna name it EXP1, for instance. And you can guess what we're gonna do now. We're gonna go into the script. We're gonna find the explosion keyframe, which I made. We're gonna use the same effects particle emitter script, and we're gonna cast EXP1. I'm not kidding. It's that simple, guys. Everyone, all of you here can do it. Gonna see if that works out. Yeah, should be fine. Let's preview, see if we have a massive explosion back there. Hopefully we do. Alright. Oh yeah, remember what I said earlier about play on spawn? It still played on the keyframe, but I forgot to turn off play on spawn, which we have to do. It's important. So let's do that, and after that we're gonna add another character, for instance. So EXP1 should not play on spawn. All right. My OCD tells me I have to preview this again just to make sure it's right. You're gonna do that a lot as well if you're gonna do anything in the editor. If you guys have been in the editor a lot, you know this. You just have to preview everything. Bullet hit, explosion, bullet hit, and bullet hit. Yeah, looks good. Looks okay for like something we scrapped together just now. But we don't have much going on in the scene, right? So maybe we should build it up a bit more, right? We want to add layers. That's the most important thing. You have to start with something that's graspable, like making the camera path and your main character, and from there you build layers. So let's just do like a what is it called? A crow. Do we have? That's a scarecrow. Tank. Is that what it's called? You guys know the tank trap, right? What's that called? You guys know this. I don't know this, but you guys know this. Military. Water tanks, no. Come on guys, help me out. What's the tank trap called? The crow's foot. It's not crow. Hedgehog? Is that what it's called? Yes! The check hedgehog. So we have a few prefabs here we can use. So we're gonna make like this. I can't wait till we have World War II stuff. Yeah, it's a hedgehog. I can't wait till we have like World War II equipment, and so I can just make the Iwo Jima landing or Omaha Beach. It's gonna be a great day. So we're gonna just add like scene building. You guys know this. You've been playing Arma for a long time. You know this probably better than me. We're just gonna add a few of these into the scene. If it's not in your camera angle, don't even bother. Everything on this side, it doesn't matter, guys. Just doesn't matter. Do a few if you're gonna scene build, make a few variations so it all doesn't look copy pasted, even though it is. You guys know what I mean about that. And we're gonna do something else here now. We are now gonna add some already dead characters, bodies laying around. That would make it more immersive, I guess. So we can solve that by adding an animation track. So we're gonna put down some cinematic actors. So I have characters, and I'm gonna put down cinematic US here. If I'm unsure about how to frame things, you see that? I just go into the camera preview and I can move everything I want in here. I don't actually have to like see that? That's really helpful, right? So there's stuff here that's not even in frame. And with a little bit help of the cinematic timeline, I just move it into frame. Just how I want it. So I have full control of how it looks. Move it further back. Something like that. Well, this thing, put it a little bit down into the ground. Okay, that looks better. Always called it the tank trap. It is a tank trap, right? Yeah. We have our actor here. Just call him actor, because that's what he is. Or we can call him dead. Dead one. Perfect, you're dead one. We're gonna add an animation track called dead one. It's gonna play on spawn. So on the first keyframe, this guy is gonna start his animation. We're gonna go into the animation player component. We're gonna find a preset called def. Let's go out of this thing. It's an animation, but if we go to the start time we want, so I'll just change the start time and I don't loop it, and it should stay like that. And that's basically all I need, right? Like that. The rifle is weird, so it's acting weird, so I'm just gonna disable the weapon. And I'm gonna go back into the camera, see if he's even visible. Yeah, he's visible. He's back there being dead. Maybe people can see that he's too fine, so we're gonna do something about that. See if we have a really hurt body. See here. Yeah, it's good enough. So we have one dead character here. We should have one here as well, right? What we can do, instead of doing everything all over again, is that, oh, that's a scaling tool. Have to be careful with that, because that can actually okay, here we have dead 2. He's gonna do the same. See that? That's great. Let's try another animation for him. See, that's yeah, some variation is good. Let's pull him up a little bit, because he's unnaturally far down into the ground. And we're gonna take off the backpack because I think it's too noticeable. And we could, for instance, add like an M16A2, a prefab, and just put it on the ground next to him, just to sell whatever that the gun is next to him. So a little bit up, and you guys know this if you have been in the editor before. Placing it down like that. We'll go back into the timeline, see how it looks. Yeah, looks good enough. Yeah. Okay, we've been doing a few things now. Okay, am I still happy with the camera? Sure. I could actually change the FOV and everything on the fly. For now, I'm just gonna enable the depth of field. We're gonna set it to 500 to 1000. It's gonna be really shallow. But I think like out of focus stuff in the scene makes it pop a little bit more. It pulls off the focus more on the main character itself, and you don't have to be too detailed with the background. Okay. So it should play straight off the bat, unless the extra keyframe is gonna mess with it. I don't think it will, but I'm just gonna remove it for now, just in case. And we're gonna preview the scene, save again, because you can't save enough times. Alright, that guy there, explosions. You guys get the gist. You get it. And from here you can just keep building and building and building in complexity. So this is how it looks now, but say I want to change it entirely. I want to make this a night thing. Okay. I can still take the entities I made earlier, the light entities, and I can use those. So I'm gonna take the light entity, drag it up, max out the radius, pump up the luminance value, and then you have an entirely different scene. See? Maybe that's the incorrect color. Maybe you want to mimic a flare. So you do something like this. Oh, I actually have to save. Okay. Whoa. I press OK. So that's cool. Okay. You have the red preset. Okay. To make it look like something different. And of course you can still mess around with the radius, the near plane. I don't want to mess around too much with that. If you have it set to spot, you can change the angle, but now it's a point light. you can change with the offsets, and you have lens flare types. That's only gonna make the light point itself have a lens flare. It's not really too useful. Maybe if you wanna mimic like lights on a vehicle or like a searchlight or anything, maybe turn the lens flare on. So by doing this, you have like drastically changed out, just with the lighting, changed how the expression of the scene is. And this is a 10-second clip. And you render it just like I showed you earlier if you wanted to do a screenshot, right? You render it just like that. And it's gonna spit out a big series of images. And then you take those images and compile them in whatever software you want, if it's Adobe Premiere or whatever, and then you render it in there, in a final scene. So this is the basis of how I made the first cinematic for Armory Reforger. You start with one thing, which was just the first actor, and then you build upon it. So you say I want more moving actors. Okay, so I'm gonna take my one, I'm gonna copy him, and I'm gonna change a few parameters like character identity just to switch it up. So I have another character. So I have I need to change his base weapon manager, character weapon slot. I can change his weapon to an ammo with a tube meme, you get it. We can change his loadout. All I have to do is just search for loadout, and it gives me the whole thing. So let's go away from the helmet. Let this guy, he can give him the Russian hat. No, so let's give him a boonie, just for the sake of having him be different. And we can do something simple like changing the jacket to a roll up, so it's rolled up. That's really how you go about changing every single character. So from the beginning, on the first keyframe, where do I want him? I want him here. I want him by this hedgerow. So on the first keyframe, let's get him in position first. That's the first thing we do. Okay, so he's there. It's a little bit out of focus, but you'll see him well enough. Okay, so that's his position. On the first keyframe, I need him to crouch. Okay? On the first keyframe, I want him to crouch. So I'm gonna exit out of that and open it again, because I don't think it's been keeping up. Okay, here you have all of the previous things we did, and here you have keyframe for mount 2. Okay, the first action I want him to take is a stance change, just like the one we did where you got man 1 to go down to prone. So I want him just to change stance. So we change him from stance change to crouch. Okay, and it's man 2 and not man 1, so we have to change that in the script. Okay, that's good enough. So on the very first keyframe, he's gonna sit down into crouch, But maybe I want him to fire his weapon. Okay? So when we see him the first time, that's about here. At this point, I need him to have already... I need him to fire, right? Or maybe I'll put him as a machine gunner and make him fire continuously until he dies, right? So we'll have that be the event. He's in crouch, he's gonna fire his weapon until he dies or gets shot. That's the thing I want. So before he's even on screen, we're gonna do two things. We're gonna prepare the weapon. There he is. We're gonna prepare the weapon. I'm gonna show you here. So I have a fire weapon script, and I call it stage 1, which is raising the weapon. So we're gonna go into the script of man 2. Here we are. We are gonna open the script. We're gonna prepare the weapon. So man 2 is gonna raise it. See, set weapon raised is true. So make sure all of the naming is correct. It's gonna set the weapon to raised as true, and it's gonna disengage the safety. Like, it's gonna turn off the safety. And on the next stage, he's gonna fire the weapon, right? So firing the weapon goes in 2 stages. So the next stage is having him set the fire mode, and it depends on the weapon he's holding. So fire mode 1 is single shot, and it's just telling him to set fire weapon 1 at 1. Okay, we're just gonna validate that we don't have massive amounts of problems with the script, and it doesn't look like we do. It compiled. And with the M16, we're gonna have him fire at this point. I'm just gonna move the keyframe until he is in frame, and then it's gonna fire the weapon once, and say that at this keyframe he's gonna ragdoll and die. And we can put a particle emitter with the blood effect that makes it look like he gets shot, right? Are you all following along? I hope so. So I'm gonna find the force death. I'm just gonna put that into the final keyframe of this background character. So man 2. I'll just have it generic because I switch around the names of the people a lot. Now, guys, if you have any questions, please don't be afraid of asking them in the chat, or else I'm just gonna keep going at it. Alright. So, we wanna go back. It's involving. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but I guess it's... I'll take it as a compliment, Sokar. Alright, so... we've been building so far. Let's see if everything... Let's see if he fires the... let's see if he goes down to crouch. He raises his weapon and fires 1 shot. And then goes into death. That's what we hope to see. And remember, this is just building the immersion of the scene, right? So we've gone from complete daylight, we switch it over to nighttime now. We turned down the depth of field. So a lot of stuff going on. So okay, yeah. I think he fired his shot, but it didn't show too well. You mean you have to script absolutely everything? Yes, you have to. You have to script everything. Every single thing. Is it still easier than Arma 3's way of going about it? Yes. Yes, it is. But there's some things that you don't have to script, and I'll actually show you guys that now. Are you guys happy with how this process works? If you want a complex scene, because if you're happy, I'm gonna show you the quick way of doing it, because now you know the hard way. Okay, so let's turn on the lights because it's too dark. Okay, light has been engaged. Perfect. And we're gonna go out of this. Let's just imagine a completely different scene here, just for a second. So okay, here we have a perfect little place to do this. So we're gonna create, we're gonna put down 2 characters, and we're gonna put down cinematic characters. That's my word of saying they don't have all of the things in the entity. They only have what I need for them to play an animation. But I could do so and so. Let's do we're gonna call it F1. Just something, you know. That's just so I can add an animation track called F1. I'm gonna set it to play, and I'm gonna go into F1's animation player component, and there's a few animations in there that resembles what we're used to with Arma 3. And if you know how to do switch move animations and cutscene animations for Arma 3, this is where it gets a little familiar. I have a few of them, like Patrol. See this? There's a few animations in here. There's a few of them that's mocapped, so you can use those, but there's only a few of them. Thankfully, some of them are useful. So you've seen in my first cinematic, there's a few scenes where I use this animation. It's just a patrol animation, but it doesn't go too far. It loops. So if I turn off loop, it goes for how many seconds? It goes on for exactly 404 frames, which is 6 seconds. It's a 6-second animation, okay? So that works. You can slow it down, you know. You can have the speed be 0.8, for instance. Can you import custom mocap animations? I believe you can, and that's the thing that's gonna change everything about how this works. So you see here, now it's about 8 seconds if I turn it down to 0.8 speed. So you can drag out some animations while others you can't. So there's only a few of them I found, like doing this as loot. You have an unarmed run. You have marching. See this? Marching with a rifle. Push-ups. And a camera shake. That's another thing I haven't touched upon, the camera shake thing. But it's not too important for this like live stream. Dance video clip soon. Yeah. If you're good in Blender, I believe you can do mocap with your phone. You can record mocap with your phone with some apps, and you can import that to Blender. You can refine it, and I think even from there you can bring it into Arma. This is the thing that is gonna, by the time Arma 4 comes out, we have figured this out, how to do some of these things. And I believe modding for Arma in the future is gonna have a lot more custom animations because of the how it's done now. It's a lot more fluent. So say like this kind of animation, I can loop forever. You can do push-ups forever. Imagine doing push-ups forever. So there are ways of going about it where you don't script everything, but by doing the scripted version like this, you have a lot more freedom. You can mix these two together and create some really special scenes, right? And that's the beauty of it. This is something Arma 3 never had. Like this level of modability. Like if I can make what I made in 2 weeks doing this, I can't imagine like people that are way more creative than myself coming up with. So me doing this live stream just to give you guys like an easy entry to it, or like convincing you to try it, I think it's worth it. All right, are we gonna? I think we can wrap this thing up by making just a screenshot we can put on Twitter to end it off with. So say at this exact moment, I think we even can. Yeah, I think we can. You've never seen this side of Arma before, so this is all new to me. Yeah, this is the part of Arma Reforger that got very much overlooked. You didn't just get hey Chewy. You didn't just get the game, the base game. And you can say whatever you want about the base game of Arma Reforger, about how it is the platform for the next iteration of Arma. It's many people are calling it a demo almost. It is sort of a demo, or even a tech test or whatever. But the thing many of these people have overlooked is that they have given us like the keys to the kingdom with the animation, with not the animation, but with the workbench. There's so many things you can do. I got friends like Chewy here, who just joined chat. He's never made terrain in Arma before, and he's about to make one of the coolest terrains for Reforger, and it's all self-taught since the game came out, because the tools are much more available, they're much easier to use, they're much more in line with other stuff. So yeah, like True said, it's a super good deal if you're interested in making maps, but you thought Arma 3's terrain maker was way too complicated. You're gonna love using the workbench instead. It's just so much easier, all of this. So it's one of those things I think is quite overlooked when people when Reforger came out, because this alone, like I would pay $30 almost just for this workbench. I'm not kidding. I would pay $30 for this workbench because there's so many things I can do with it. And but making small cinematics is my thing. Maybe I'll make a mod in the future. I'll make the Norwegian army. Believe me, I will do it one day. Alright, so let's try and wrap it up a little bit with making a screenshot. So one of the cool things you can do is that since everything is down it's in frames, we can select the frame we want to screenshot. So I know the explosion is at 273. I'll end it on, let's give it a few, 279. It's gonna give me a few images. And if I do 4K, fine. Standard quality, 60 FPS. Frames, nope. This is gonna crash my game. I know it for sure. But I'm gonna show the screenshots once it's done. I'll make sure I'll uncheck play from camera position. I'll make sure that HDR is not active. I think no, let's activate it. Let's actually do that, because then it will start off in the exposure that I want. Modders might make Arma 4 before Bohemia does. Yeah, maybe they'll make a lot of assets that maybe will be in Arma 4. What do you guys think Arma 4 is gonna be? Even modern, Cold War, futuristic like Arma 3 was. Man, Arma 3 isn't futuristic anymore soon. We're almost at 2030, you know. Like many of the guns that's in Arma 3 is out there now. I mean it. It's not futuristic anymore. It's weird. It's like Arma 3 is at this time like modern. And the things that people consider modern is now old. It's weird. Alright, so let's see if this works. I'm just gonna try and export. I'm not sure how the framing is gonna be exactly. I'll just gonna export it anyway. So I'm gonna put it to images, Reforger, screenshots. Let's make a 4K folder like this. I'm gonna choose that. It's gonna switch to game mode. It's gonna 100% crash the workbench once it's done. But I'm gonna get my screenshots anyway, so it's gonna be a nice way to end it. You see? Our character isn't in it, but it's pretty nonetheless. So it's gonna give us the, let's see here. It's gonna give us the screenshots. See, the first frame is gonna be unrendered, and then we're gonna have the render there. And that's pretty. So too bad this doesn't work out too much. Alright, let's see here. I'm gonna show you a few screenshots I did because I'm in a good mood. Like, these are some of the screenshots. It's the thumbnail for this thing that you can get out of it. You know, these are screenshots from the workbench. And as soon as people get into it, they start like embracing the workbench a little bit more. There's gonna be a lot more cool screenshots coming out. I hope it follows on Armory. Armory has too many good gameplay mechanics that they shouldn't ignore. I also enjoyed the Armory lore. Me too. Good things said. Yeah, it's gonna take time for Arma 4 to be in the state that Armory is in now. But there's a few things that's gonna be better, like straight off the bat. And one of them is obviously the entire rendering system and the graphical fidelity of it all. Like, this new engine is better. It is hands down, it's better. And I found it weird that people defend Armory so hard. Like, we all know Armory it's a broken beauty of a game. I don't know how else to say it. But with time, I think Arma 4 and even Reforger is gonna stand the test of time and be a better game overall. Some of the mechanics they're gonna put out, you've seen them yourself in the roadmap. I think they're gonna be absolutely amazing. Dynamic lighting, volumetric fog, realistic cloud and weather system. Yeah, it's just gonna be great. I think the best is yet to come with Arma 4. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. Let's see. We have been going at it for about 1 hour and 42. I think this is as good as any time to start wrapping it up. Stop music. Tell me in the comment section afterwards or whenever you want on Twitter what you want to see next. I will be doing a full tutorial. But you know, making full tutorials take time, and I want to learn more before I do that. So the first tutorial is just gonna be how to make a simple scene in like 10 minutes. I think that's like the entry level. I think that's what more people want. Arma 4 memes will be next gen too, yeah. So we're gonna make it entry level. Probably not gonna include anything from the stream, but we'll keep doing this. If you guys like these kind of streams, I'll keep doing them. So put a like on the video, put some comments on it, share it with a friend who thinks Armory Forger is hard. Show him this stream. Maybe we can turn them around. Alright, I'm gonna say good night to you all. Have a great next week, and I'll see you soon.